This is AP Stidham of AP As We See It live in Birmingham, Alabama at the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. Our very special guest, Evan Mathis, class of 2026 inductee. Congratulations, Evan.
Thank you, AP. Appreciate that.
Evan, what's the significance for you to be in this Alabama Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm really, really honored to be here around, so many people who have done so many powerful, amazing things in their careers. I came to this event back in 1995 to watch my uncle Bob Baumhauer get inducted. Making this even more special is that I was born and raised in Birmingham, and I went to Homewood High School. So just to be able to come back to my old stomping grounds, where I'm from, that means a lot. And then honestly, also, football is a sport that's usually like, what have you done for me lately? Even so much as like the last game or the last play. And then to be able to be honored for a body of work so many years later, it's kind of a surprise, because I've kind of like, I've totally moved past it, like I don't identify with it anymore. Yeah. It's just like, it's something I did, and to be recognized and, it's pretty humbling.
Who are some of those early influences for you? Your uncle, Bob Baumhauer, of course.
Yeah, Bob definitely was. As a kid, I was a really big fan of guys like Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas, Ken Griffey Jr., Deion Sanders, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and it was for us back then. It was like waiting for the Sports Center highlights, and also professional wrestling. Me and my brother and I were always watching WWF and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, and we were always like, we would act out these things where we would play a full football game or a full baseball game against each other. If it was baseball, we would have a full roster of different people that we would be. So sometimes I might step to the plate as Frank Thomas or a character I made up. And we just go, and the same thing for wrestling. Sometimes we'd be these wrestlers we know, and then we would have our whole roster of our own characters. So I'm just a product of my environment. Growing up here, being exposed to it, I was exposed to, just like Alabama football versus Auburn football, and just a kid born and raised in Birmingham who was exposed to what he was exposed to, and just became that.
3-year starter at Alabama, you kind of fluctuated offensive tackle. I think you settled in at guard. Then that was your primary position. How did you like your stay at Alabama? Yeah,
so my senior year in high school, I was playing tackle, offensive tackle, and I was the same height. I was 6'5", but I was really 240 pounds. I was telling all the colleges I was 255, but I was 240 pounds. And when I got to Alabama, they wanted me to play center, and so I'm sitting there practicing center. I hated snapping the ball. I hated making those calls. I just wanted to be able to be aggressive and not think about it as much. And then, when I had 4 head coaches at Alabama. So I redshirted my first year. And then my second year, Franchione's coaching staff came in, and Jim Bob Helduzer was the offensive line coach. And they saw me, they kind of recognized my athletic ability, and they moved me to offensive tackle. And it was, I think, the 4th game of my freshman year, my second year. It's my 4th game of my second year that I got to start at tackle, and then started that year, the next year, and the next year at tackle. Through a lot of injuries, just kept going, and then we had a new coaching staff come in. Actually, we had Mike Price come in for a spring, and then he was gone. But he left behind a great offensive line coach in Bobby Connolly, and they saw me as well. Actually, what they said was when they moved me to guard my senior year, and they said that they saw me more as having the opportunity to have a career as a guard in the NFL. And so my senior year, my 4th year starting, I was a guard, and that was my first year playing guard. I was kind of slow learning the techniques. It was something new, and then guard's what I ended up being.
Okay, and then you went to the Pro Bowl twice, 3-time All-Pro, and Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, 50th Super Bowl. How was that experience for Denver?
Well, that was the timing on that was just like the way that came together. It was divine order, and it was fascinating. And the group of guys in Denver, the team we had that year was like a reality show with how much power and character and hilarity and commitment and talent that there were. And that was just, it was such a fun season. You know, I battled injuries and stuff like that, but like just the overall, that entire season was, the way it all worked out was just unbelievable. I mean, it obviously the best ending you can imagine, where we ended up winning the Super Bowl, and the experience the whole time was just, I'm very grateful for it.
Hey, congratulations, Evan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Yeah.